Welcome to Ask a Lawyer. Today I'm talking with Rod Smith, and we're going to be talking about the economic woes of the criminal justice system. They're feeling it just like everybody else is. And what are they doing about it?
Well, I'm kind of excited. I've just been asked by the Florida Bar and hired by the trial section of the Florida Bar, the criminal law section of the Florida Bar, I should say, to work for them in Tallahassee on the issues involving the trial courts, the public defender's offices, and the state attorney's offices. I know that from my past, both as a legislator and then before that as a state attorney, I know how important it is for the system to work. It has to be funded, and we have dramatically underfunded the criminal justice system in Florida. And
even then, it was
even then. And now, what's happened is everybody's realized is that Florida, in the recent past, Florida has been somewhat insulated from the worst effects of the various market falls and rises. But this one has hit us pretty hard, and we're going to have another shortfall. Probably by the time this is aired, I'm suggesting we'll probably know some new numbers that are going to be discouraging numbers, and we know that those are not going to get much better in the near term. So realizing the state budget essentially works from the middle of the summer forward, we know that that's going to be a very tough time in the spring when the legislature meets to be talking about additional funding. And we've got to find a way that we can fund a criminal justice system, and we can fund it effectively, but we can't believe that we're going to fund it entirely upon the backs of people who are in the system themselves. First of all, a number of criminal offenders have no motivation to pay because, frankly, they're going to prison. Second of all, we cannot have a system survive by which traffic tickets are $500 and $600 and $700. I mean, you can say, well, you shouldn't get a ticket. We all know that we all do. Every one of us has, and the system can't be entirely self-funded. It can have a greater degree of being funded than it was once recognized. But we've pretty much gone as far as we can go in that direction.
We're almost dependent upon it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And nobody wants a criminal justice system in which, even in the back of somebody's mind, is that we're prosecuting someone because that's financially the right thing to do. That should never be a motivation for a prosecutor. It should never be a motivation in a defense of a case, and certainly shouldn't be part of a judge's determination of a sentence. And so we've got to balance all that out. I'm excited about the opportunity, but what I think we have to convince the legislature to recognize is that the judiciary is not another agency of government. It's another branch of government. Our forefathers got it right.
Yeah, and that's kind of how
they got it right.
Isn't it?
They understand that there were three branches. From Montesquieu to Locke to the American Constitution was a short skip of 100 years, and they realized that this balance of power would work. And it has worked better than any other system in the history of the world. We're not, as I tell people, we're not perfect, but we wouldn't swap our system for anybody else's. And our system is dependent upon a strong, effective judiciary. And our criminal justice system, and the fairness to both the accused and to the victims, means that we can't have justice delayed because we don't have the ability within the system to move cases.
And is that the big repercussion, that it's delayed?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, what happens, I'll admit that in my former life as a prosecutor, I knew that the sooner I could get a case to trial, the better. Time works against the victim and the victim's representative.
Because people forget and situations change?
Even more than that. That's the obvious part. But what else happens is that police officers leave and go somewhere else. Suddenly witnesses that you knew where they were, they're gone. Time passes and you lose key pieces of evidence because the ability to get that evidence becomes more difficult because perhaps lab reports are now more difficult to trace back. You don't have the same personnel. I've just seen it. I've always said, if you want to prosecute a case effectively, prosecute it as soon as you can. For victims, it is already difficult to be in a criminal justice system. To be in a criminal justice system and realize that someday you're going to have to go to that courtroom and have that delayed and delayed and delayed, you relive the case too often, and that's not right. And finally, for defendants, if a person doesn't belong in jail, then the sooner the case is over, the better, because we don't want people lingering around in the criminal justice system if they didn't belong there.